Well, good afternoon. What a great weekend here on campus. A lot of excitement around with game day, and our community, our university, and our fans really had a great time with game day coming here, and then our football team getting a chance to tour it quickly on Friday, and then turning our focus to Saturday's game and putting in a dominant performance out there on Saturday. Really pleased, especially in the second half. Our offense eliminated some penalties in the second half and did some really good things. I was really excited that some young players in our program really stepped up. You know, R.J. Urzendowski having a big game, Jeff Ilias making a really critical, tough catch, King Frazier making some plays, Carson, the way he rebounded and bounced back from Weber State. Real excited about the young guys and the progress they made. And then you look on defense, and it was a great performance by our players and our coaches, getting an excellent game plan against Incarnate Word. And excited when you can shut anybody out. And I really liked our young guys down the stretch, getting a couple of stops. I know they missed the one field goal, but that was important because we wanted to try to keep a shutout if we could. And we've got a lot of seniors on that on the defense that are leading that group that have been playing really at a high level, and we've got to continue that moving forward because we've obviously got a huge challenge this week with Montana coming into town, and we're prepping away upstairs as tough a task as it's going to be. Our coaches are grinding away at the film to make sure that we get a game plan started today for our practice this evening, because it'll be an electric atmosphere. I'm excited for our players. I'm excited for everybody associated with NDSU to have this game, especially at home. You guys probably know a lot better than I do, but from a non-conference matchup at home with one probably against three, pretty special environment here, and our kids are going to embrace it, and I'm sure Montana's kids will embrace it as well, and we're looking for a heck of a football game. So I'll take any questions.
Coach, talk about Montana's pass rush. We got 13 sacks already on the season, and you're winning in that 6th. How do you plan on slowing them down?
Well, we've got to know where he's at all times, as well as there's some other guys. They've got just a really good front four for sure, and they're mixing up some blitzes as well as just beating people off the edge. And we've got to know where he's at, and we've got to be able to maybe design some things to help in the protection game. But without question, they get after the passer, and we've got to make sure that we have all of our assignments. That's what it comes down to, is making sure our protections are correct and make sure our assignments correct so we don't cut somebody loose.
Coach, what does Jordan Johnson do so well? He's been their quarterback, seems forever.
Well, he's just got unbelievable control of the game, unbelievable control of his offense. He knows what he wants to do with the football. He's a really sharp kid. You know, I was telling the defensive coaches, we're not going to confuse this guy. You know, we've got to be sound in our techniques, sound in our fundamentals. Yeah, we can try to show some different looks, but the guy's had so many snaps under center that it's tough to confuse him. And so, you know, he's a great quarterback. He puts it on the money. He can run when he needs to run. He's obviously, as he goes, they go, I believe. I mean, I think they can run the football exceptionally well. But I just think if he's clicking and he's throwing the ball well and in control of the game, they play pretty good offensive football. So we've got our hands full.
Coach, the penalties last week concern you? At least early on?
Absolutely. You know, the false starts are the ones that are probably the most concerning, and we've got to continue to stress it, maybe to a fault, maybe too much. Some of it was miscommunication. Some of it was maybe just a mental lapse. There was a couple of, I think, illegal blocks that we're trying to get clarification on from our Missouri Valley office because we thought we were in the right to make a couple of those blocks, but we'll find out about that later on this afternoon. And if we, yep. And
what's your interpretation?
Well, if the linebacker's in the core or in the box, and our guard is in the box and pulls, we should be able to cut him, and that's what we've got to find. We've got to get some clarification for ourselves. I understand you can't be outside and come back in and cut, but if they're in the box, that's what we need to we need to show. I mean, there was a couple of cases where it's maybe a 50-50, and hopefully we'll get some answers because it did affect us later on in that game where kids pulled around and maybe said, should I cut this guy? And we didn't, and that guy made the tackle. So it's something that we're going to get clarification on this afternoon.
So who do you talk to, Patty, or do you talk to, is there a director of officials?
There's a director of officials, Bill Carolla.
Bill? Okay.
Yep. And they've got a great system where we send clips in, and then they review the clips, and then they get right back to us today to say, nope, here's the interpretation of the rule, and we'll go from there. And I know it's a point of emphasis for the officials to eliminate some of the cuts and stuff, and I understand that it's about player safety. So we've just got to see how it matches up with what we do offensively and where we need to adjust. Because if we have to adjust, obviously we'll do that.
Your offensive line, you continue going to rotate, or you want to go to set 5? What's your thoughts there?
We're going to continue to rotate. I think Landon and Jack are exceptional playing 30 to 35 plays a game. I don't know if one of them's ready to play 55 plays a game. That's something that we talked about, and Coach Riley thinks they're both doing really good things. So we've got to keep those guys fresh. Jeremy Kelly's probably the one we probably need to spell a little bit, and maybe we can do that with Schuler and Kunert in there at the same time. But we're going to continue to have that 7-man rotation.
How's your fullback blocking? And I say that because Grothman, I think, was so good there.
Well, it's tough to be Andrew Grothman. Andrew was exceptional and had all the angles and knew our offense so well. We've been really pleased with Jedry Sear, really pleased with Jedry. He's done a really nice job of understanding our scheme and being able to kick out and being able to log a guy if that guy wants to come underneath him and spill. If you notice, we've used Andrew Bonnet there a few times. We've used Connor Wentz there a few times because, as you guys also know, Grothman did that for 4 years. Boy, his shoulders got really banged up, so we've got to try to spread some of those around a little bit. As hard as people try to come and engage us or spill us, we've got to make sure and spread those around. So we're working Connor Wentz there as well as Bonnet.
Talked about the defensive line for Montana. What else about them not necessarily concerns you, but what areas are they really, really good?
On defense in general, really?
In general, the whole team.
Yeah, well, on defense, they're so sound. I mean, they have a great scheme. They're really well coached. Exceptional tacklers. That's the one thing we were watching this morning with Coach Polisek and the staff is how well they tackle in space, how well they try to simulate a lot of things that we preach, and making sure that we keep the cup, so to speak, and make sure you have a force player, a fit player, a pursuit player, all those things. They do a tremendous job. You can tell they're very well coached. The guys understand their system, and there's not a lot of holes out there, so now it comes down to can we execute better than they do? And that's I think that'll be the key to this game, both sides of the ball. I think they're going to know what we do on defense simply from watching a lot of the Wyoming film. And vice versa. So it's going to come down to execution and then obviously takeaways. We've got to find a way to get the football from them and not turn it over ourselves.
Any phone calls from your zip code or Wyoming zip code this week?
Some of the coaches, you bet. I think I know Nick's talked to some people. I know Connor and Tim have. The guys that are truly doing the game planning.
Do you guys have a distinct advantage in the special teams area, specifically in kicking over them?
I'll get into a little bit more special teams tonight when we start breaking more special teams down, but I like our kicker and punter right now. I really think Adam's kicking with a great deal of confidence, and he's healthy, like we've talked about, and Ben is, I think, a weapon that we've got to continue to count on to give us great field position. But it still comes down to the execution out there, and I think they've got some really good coverage teams, and our younger guys are getting better in coverage. That's the I see still as an area we're going to focus on even tonight at practice is our younger guys in our coverage lanes, our punt team, our kickoff cover. It's still a lot of young guys running down there that are running down there at a much higher rate of speed and a lot more reckless, but they still have to understand and make sure that they're in the right lanes.
Is there an update on Bo's shoulder, and are there any other injury concerns?
Bo will miss this week, most likely. I think he may be 2 to 3 weeks, so then you get into the bye week, and we'll kind of go from there. But most likely, Bo will miss this week. So we'll elevate Pierre to most of his spots because Pierre's finally getting back healthy, and we're fortunate because while Bo's down, Pierre can get those reps and hopefully not miss a beat. But Bo's a tremendous special team player for us that we're going to miss for a few weeks. Well, you know, he had the knee surgery during fall camp. He had a meniscus tear during fall camp. Had that scoped and didn't come back because there was just quite a bit more swelling than there was with like Chase and Travis. So he played against Weber, but you could tell he was probably about 80%. Then he played this week, and he probably was at 90%. But he's still getting treatment, and but he's getting stronger, and that's the thing he admitted to me yesterday. He's, Coach, I'm finally getting stronger and be able to take some of the wear and tear.
Your thoughts on potential playoff implications down the line with these two teams?
I still think I'd look at it from conference to conference. You know, we're faring well in our league with our FCS non-conference opponents, and I think this is another big week for us as a league to try to win this game, so we can continue to build the resume for the Missouri Valley to hopefully get more teams in. No question that you'd think the winner of this game, if it became a place where if we're seeded or not seeded, and they had that game and they matched us up geographically, which everybody talks about a lot, that this could play a big part in that.
Is there any concern with them playing Wyoming, not to change everything up radically, but to throw some curveballs in, knowing that Wyoming's offense is pretty similar to what is run here?
I think you can say there's some concerns, and I think you can say there's some great benefits. Because you watch Wyoming play, and it's like watching a North Dakota State team from a few years ago. Meaning, you know, I've talked to Steve Standard. They're pretty vanilla right now on defense just because it's brand new, and we've probably, because all these guys have done this for 3 and 4 years, maybe have a few more things in. But I think I think if you're Montana, you can look at that easily and say, boy, this is how they're going to fit that, and it may help them. But in the same respect, we probably are doing a few more things defensively just because of the experience factor.
You mentioned Jeff Ilias. Is he, just in terms of progression, where you thought he'd be, or is he a little bit further ahead? What is it that's giving him the right to play early on?
He's right about where we would expect him. You know, he's not quite big enough to just be an on-the-ball Andrew Bonnet tight end or Kevin Vaudelin, but he's learning some of those things, and he's getting more productive, and he's feeling more confident. You can't go against Kyle Emanuel and gain a lot of confidence every day trying to block Kyle, but in the same respect, he's got somebody like that he's got to go against every day, so he's gaining some confidence there. As far as we're really pleased with his mental growth. He understands our offense, and he's got unbelievable hands, and we saw that all last year when he was redshirted. He went over the top of Marcus and CJ a bunch to catch footballs. He has that innate ability, and that's an ability. Zach Vra has it, and Jeff Ilias has it for sure, of when that ball's in the air, can I adjust to it and make a play? And that was a heck of a catch. It was a good throw and a great catch because he had to adjust to the football and go get it. So we're really pleased with his progress. Another redshirt freshman that he's feeling more comfortable.